I hope you are just as excited as I am to have you here. My name is Chika Samuels. I'll just let our guest join in and I'll do another reintroduction. I hope you're good. How have you been? So you're welcome to Wellness Wednesday.
Hello.
Cool, you're here.
Is it better now?
So let's get right into the chase. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. You are all welcome to Wellness Wednesday. My name is Chika Samuels. I'm a USA trained holistic integrative health practitioner and a fertility coach. And I tried for a child for 7 years. I overcame infertility against what best doctors report. So after I did, I got trained for it and I started helping people. And up until this is the month of September. Yes, up until the month of August, on our records, we have helped, by the grace of God, 978 couples from all around the world who have been carrying, and we were able to help them self-heal themselves and allow the body to do what it's supposed to do, which is egg meat sperm. So that's it about me, and I'm so excited to have a fantastic audience here coming from So Precious from Mecca's Healing Journey. You are all welcome. And our guest speaker today on Wellness Wednesday, we have this every week, and this week is beautiful, it's spectacular, it's different because I am sharing thoughts and they're having a very in-depth discussion with a health expert that shares the same health values like I do. So it's rare because the message that So Precious stands for is rare. So when I find people that resonate to what we do, my social media person had been hunting, trying to get people that we could do a collaborative IG live with. And it's been quite difficult because not so many have shared this message. It's very rare. It's different, conventional. So when I find such people, I want to bring in, come and resonate and tell me that I'm not crazy. I'm not the only one that believes in this thing, that this thing works, and they are living it. They are practitioners, right? So today we have Mecca's Healing Journey. Mecca is her name. She loves to be addressed by that. She's a wife, a mom of 2. She's a UK trained critical care specialist nurse, and she's a practicing advocate of healing with nature. So let's make welcome Mecca. Mecca, you are welcome to our Wellness Wednesday.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Chika. And do you want me to introduce myself to the audience?
Yes,
please. For everyone that has joined in. I really appreciate, this it's a beautiful opportunity. Like you said, it's not many people that are willing to come out into the space and share things like this. So my name is Mecca. I am 43. I'll be 44 this year. Wow. And my journey.
And she looks nothing like, I've seen her. Sorry, I'm gonna be cutting in. She looks nothing like her age. Trust me. And you can tell when you say practitioner. Yeah, she looks way younger than her.
I appreciate that. So obviously I'm a nurse. I've always liked healthcare, and that's why I went into nursing. But then I had to learn that the conventional way would not always work. It's a system that is designed to manage symptoms rather than prevent and treat. And I learned this as a result of my own health challenges, which I will talk about in detail as we go along. So it all started for me personally 10 years ago. That's when I started having health issues after my second child. And so, yeah, I learned this, and then I also delved into growing my own food, which I started a bit in 2018, and during the the year where we were all indoors, I went a bit bigger, and yeah, to God be the glory. I was once diagnosed with chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia, and pain, and so many other illnesses that I would share. And now I can't even remember when last I went to the doctors. I'm so grateful for that. So yeah, that's me.
Awesome. Thank you so much. This is why this kind of collaboration is very dear to me, because when I tell people, since I had my son, I have a toddler, he just turned 5 in June. We have both not been to the hospital. We don't have a family doctor, and that's not because we don't have one. I have HMO and all that. In fact, sometimes I said, can you guys please convert my money for HMO, because I'm not using the medical practice. We don't have need for it. Why? Because when you give the body the support it needs to heal itself, it will take care of itself. Even when it meets germs, viruses, bacteria, it will self-heal itself because it's been built that way. That's the way God made it. But when you start putting destructive things like, conventional medicine, abusing them, using them, thinking of using them for prevention, but actually overdosing on them like we normally do, in Africa, it disrupts, a lot of things, the gut system and all that. So when I hear, like she's not been to the hospital, she started practicing holistic health, I can relate to it because that is the life that I live. We don't have, I was telling someone, a visitor came to the house which other day, like, oh, can I have some analgesics, Panadol, paracetamol? I was like, where do I get that this night? We don't have that in the house. I don't have it to take them. We no form of painkillers. We don't, and that's not because our life is not stressful like my family. We work really hard. But because we supply the body what it needs to recoup, to rejuvenate, it bounces back and it does what it's supposed to do. So thank you so much for highlighting this. That's quite exciting. I'm looking forward to hear more. So we'd like to know, how did you come about what you do? What inspired this, journey of yours? Because it all starts from a journey. I introduced myself, I'm a fertility coach. I didn't wake up and say I was a fertility coach. When I was pregnant, I did not know that this was going to turn into being a brand so precious. But when I won with those tools, I found out that, okay, I spoke to one or two people, shared with them, oh, take this, be on this food, be on this vegetable, rest this way, meditate this way. And they got pregnant. Their cycles, became regular. Those that were not ovulating, I said, it looks like this thing is working. Then I got trained for it and all that. And I started helping people. So I know that you didn't just wake up and say, oh, I want to be this, I want to be a grower, I want to, live more on vegetable and fruits and all that. Kind of tell us what brought about, what this journey and why it's special to you. Yeah. What inspired
So
this?
I wish I could say, like I just woke up and started, but my journey it's lengthy and probably a bit painful because like I said, I had my second child in 2013. Prior to then, I had no other health issues apart from, and this is important for people to note that, because maternal health affects the infant. So I was born basically with eczema. So the health of the mother affects the fetus. So whatever your health situation is,
sorry, I'm gonna be cutting in very frequently because you're saying some really punch points and they are very critical. A lot of times people ask, oh, 3 months to when I want to have a baby, or 2 months to when I want to have a baby, or maybe they said, oh, they are getting married in December and we plan to have a baby, start having, trying for a child for January. So I'll start eating healthy from the, after summer.
The thing is, we don't know how the DNA changes, and dysregulation of DNA happens over years. It doesn't just happen overnight. So anyway, personally, I was born with eczema. Like, I was a child that was covered in Nigeria. I was a baby in the UK. So Nigeria, people didn't know what eczema was. But I had eczema from my head down. I missed years of school, times in school. I had so many sensitivities. My parents didn't know how to help me. So I had to have steroids as a child. I had IV steroids when I had flare-ups. I had steroid creams for years. I used steroid creams. I had, like, it would just come, my hair everywhere. So this is a backstory because that means I had some autoimmune condition which nobody diagnosed as a child. We just take these things as symptoms. Don't ever look at them in isolation. Anyway, I also, being a nurse, I didn't even know it had anything to do with my immune system. But I got older, the eczema settled. I wasn't having those flares. I was living well, although I had really bad scalp eczema. So after having the child, I had this. It was more like anxiety. I'm a Christian. We don't like using that word, like anxious. But I was always overthinking things, and it was postpartum. And I was just not in the best mood, and I put on so much weight. I was about a size 18.
Whoa.
So we went on holiday. I was on maternity, and I went to Africa. And mind you, my job at this time. So a lot of things affect you. So it's a journey. That's why when I started, I was like, I want people to know this thing doesn't happen overnight. I'm a nurse. So being a nurse, I did a lot of night shifts, so my sleeping was not brilliant. So obviously it affected my immune system further. And then having a child is a big blow to the immune system. So these things came up, but we didn't know. The doctors will do all blood tests, nothing. In fact, I was in Nigeria, backstory. So after my child was 6 months old, we went to Africa. and I was ill, and it was malaria. They thought it was malaria. They treated me and resistant. For the 3 months I was on holiday, I lost so much weight. I became a size 14 from 18. They didn't really know what was wrong. I was weak, I was limp, I was anxious, I was nervous. I was like, I need to just go back to England. So I came back, and it was a bit settled, but I just thought it was malaria and typhoid. Anyway, we kept going back and forth to the doctors. I started having palpitations, and then the fatigue was bad. I had the carpal tunnel, all those funny symptoms. The only thing the blood test would tell me was that my vitamin D levels were low. So I'm confused. Like, I go to the doctor, I'm like, I never used to come to the doctors. Now I'm like a hypochondriac. It's like it's in my head. I'm not right. I'll have pains random. I'll do scans, CT scans. The doctor will be like, nothing is showing. Yeah. And so I remember, you know what? I get to see so many people like you, and I don't know how to help you. And that really turned up a light bulb for me. And I thought, okay, the solution is not here. All this while, I've been praying, you know, praying to God. I'm a nurse. I try to see if there's a medical pill that will cure me, but there wasn't. So I found an integrative health nutritionist, functional nutritionist, spent a lot of money. I bought supplements. It was coming out of my eyeballs. So I thought I was in the right direction, you know. I was doing smoothies. And then I remember another light bulb moment then was I went to her and I had Raynaud's. So my fingers will go numb in the winter, cold, frozen, numb, the color will disappear. And I was saying to her, this is another thing I have. You know, there's so many symptoms. And she says, oh, I have that as well. And I'm like, okay, you can't help me then. So I kept praying. I prayed. I studied the word. I studied nutrition. I studied and I prayed. I said, God, show me the path. Because then I was not on social media. And so I didn't know where to go, where to start. And then I found a lady and she told me so many things then. She said to me, if you use a microwave, stop it. If you eat white wheat flour, stop. If you eat sugar, I was like, what can I eat next? And the list was this long. And that was how I started. And God brought so many other things my way. I started learning, and then I learned about the blue zones. So quick roundup before I go further. And then I heard about the places called the blue zones where people live. There were the highest numbers of centenarians. This was in 2017. And I thought, and they said one of the biggest things about the communal living and everything was they grew their own food. Growing up, I loved growing my own food. So I was like,
centurions, right? That's what they call them, above 100.
And I was like, and I said, oh, I need to grow my own food, but I don't have. We live in a rented house. I don't have a garden. Lord, what can I do? And we had a small pasture, and I grew corn that year. I grew tomatoes, and it was so nice. But I still needed to know more about the blue zone, and then God brought me back to Africa. So we have blue zones. We had, I would say, but
we do
on the map because we're Africans. So I found out that my ancestors lived like these blue zone people. And
they
I needed to find out
100 years on them.
Exactly. What did my ancestors eat to thrive, to be well? What did they not eat? How did they live? How did they sleep? I'm grateful I grew up in the 80s.
All these sicknesses you are calling were alien then. Your grandparents will have no idea. They don't, you know, someone said, how do I know the right thing to eat? I said, if a grandparent does not recognize it, then it's a poisonous food. If they don't recognize it, then it's a poisonous food. Because it's what they grew old on. Anything from a,
That was how I started. I said, okay, back to, so you see all these big words like whole food, plant-based and natural. It's back to how did my ancestors eat? Did they eat food from a can? Did they eat organic? Did they eat fertilizer? How did they live? They were active. They exercised. They walked for hours. When did they sleep? They went to bed early. They didn't have electricity. You know, I'm not talking about my parents. I'm talking about their parents' parents. So, you know, like things like MSG, I'll just digress a bit. People say it's our culture. MSG was not there in the 70s. My ancestors,
there was no microwave, no fridge. They were drinking from clay pots. They were eating. If they wanted to eat fish, they would go to the river. They wanted to eat meat, they would kill the ram or the goat or the fowl. It was not frozen food. It was not tinned food. It wasn't coming from a brown bag. You know, it wasn't the processing was very limited, and they needed the processing. It was just 2 steps processing.
And that
Very
was
wholesome.
that was the simplest way I was able to transition, because thinking that way helped me, because it's overwhelming. If you say, don't eat this, eat where do I start?
I love that. I love that. It's a key word. If someone asks, I should not eat this, I should not eat this, what should I eat? You ask the person, what was not the Gen Z grandparents, your grandparents, the real
People that
grandparents.
were there in the 60s, the early
that lived the
eras,
longest. What were they living on?
That's it. So when I went back there, my life became easy and God helped me. Obviously, I do a lot of juicing. My ancestors didn't juice. I do smoothies, I didn't do that, but I'm bridging the gap. So I'm trying to hyper-nourish, and that's why I do those things, because I know my DNA has been affected from infancy, or from being in utero, not just infancy. So I know already I was born naturally with that sort of whatever defect, which my ancestors didn't have. As a result of lifestyle my parents lived, it was harmless. My parents were here, they were modern people in the 80s and 70s. They lived the norm, they tried to live an affluent life to their own standards, but that affected us. So that's my story.
Awesome. Wow, very touching one. I love survival stories. Why I love survival stories is that, when I tell someone probably enrolls in one of our fertility programs, the person is coming, first time calls, the person is coming with an inquiry, how are you different from every other person I've met? I tell the person, I've walked your path, right? That's what you're telling us. You have walked the path, right? So you can actually handhold the person, tell the person what works, what does not work, right? Take the person through the shortcuts, right? It's amazing. It's a fantastic story. I love survival stories. I love stories of people that are willing to now start helping people with the same tools that they won with. And that's what resonates with what we share. Thank you so much for sharing that. That's awesome. So thank you everyone for joining. Hello, thank you. Calling your community, we're having discussion, on self-healing with vegetables. It's a very critical subject. There is a lot of burning stories that have been coming from DM. We did polls on our community and we got feedback. So we're going to be sharing a lot of that. So please call in your friends, tag them in, and let them join. It's very, very important.
Tell a friend.
Because
thank you, Favor.
We have an opportunity to ask questions. That's why a rebroadcast is different from a live stream, right? So here you have the survivors. You can ask questions. If there are questions that resonate with you, you have a sick sibling, is sick, your family is always on pills, you're always visiting the doctor, your children are always falling sick, it's normal for you to be taking paracetamol, you think PMS is normal. All these things are burning questions, and we're here to serve real information, the information that works. So please call in your community and join immediately. So Mekas have told us a very, very touching, inspiring, empowering survival story. Thank you so much for sharing so deeply. A lot of things, when I started sharing my journey on fertility, people are like, this is new. Like, a lot of people don't tell their story. You come to church or you go to a gathering, any ceremony, they say, oh, she tried for 10 years. Oh, praise God, she now has a twins. Nobody tells us how, right? You don't get to hear how. Like, how did you do it? People are trained to ask and all that, but how can you help others if you don't share? And that's what you're doing now. You're sharing, your process, not just telling us, oh, you were there and now you're here. No, there's a process, and that's how we help each other. That's how we build a community. That's what we stand for. Thank you so much for sharing that. So our third question will be coming: what is the most common health issue you've heard? You mentioned a couple of them to support your audience, but now for your audience, because I know a lot of people engage you in DM, emails, and all that. What are the most common health issues that you have helped them to heal in their healing journey, like symptoms or treatments that your greens or your prescriptions or preventive strategies have helped them with? What are the most common issues?
Not too many, but I'll share a few that are quite striking that resonated with me. So I had someone I supported. She's in her 40s, but sickle cell anemia. So if you know sickle cell, the whole spectrum is a lot of complications. So I said to her, listen, what I'm going to tell you, because when you tell people just eat different, and obviously how you manage stress, I think it's too simple. So people don't want to embrace it because it's like, I need a big thing that would change everything. So I said, you know, you need to, I gave her a protocol to follow. And I said, you have to try this. We need to work just 2 weeks. So she started. She was doing, let's say she was doing 70% of it. And she had to go to the doctors afterwards. She had to have routine blood transfusions. So she went to the doctors and they took her bloods. And in the UK, I don't know how you guys do in the US, but in the UK, if your hemoglobin is above 10, it's a normal standard. You don't get a transfusion. That's just general for people that are not critically ill. Yeah. So that day they said to her, "Oh, we're not gonna give you blood because your HB is above 10." And she's like, "Well, I don't feel right because the feelings don't go. Healing is a process." So she was like, "But I don't feel right. I need blood." And
because
so, this is what I always
with a
get.
checklist.
Yeah.
Conventional medical doctors are working with a checklist. So if it doesn't change that, it doesn't matter how you feel. You know, that's why things like thyroid and all this, they are not being diagnosed easily because,
So, but that day she's like, and they said no. She said she had never gone there and they said they wouldn't give her blood. That was the first time her hemoglobin was at 10 without a transfusion. So she came, she said, "I can't believe it. I've been doing this thing only about 70%, obviously eliminating things, and her HB was going up." And for me, that was striking because sickle cell is something that you live with for the rest of your life, unless by a miracle you get healed.
Like
it really made me see that even conditions that we class as permanent, we can manage it so well with healthy lifestyle. And this is someone that, for what she said, maybe she was doing 70%, maybe even less. Because this thing, you know, it's a big mirage. It's like a puzzle. You need to keep fitting it in. So she only learned for 2 weeks and she had such tremendous results. For me, that was just the biggest one. Like her HB was stable, was good enough to not need transfusion, which she'd never experienced in a long time. Yeah, and I've had a few people with so many, you know, like fatigue. A lot of people today now, fatigue is a big thing. Some PMS. I suffered with
2 jobs. You have a sidekick, side hustle.
I suffered with fatigue, like bad. I won't be able to walk up the stairs. So when people say they're tired, I know what it feels like to be tired. I couldn't go up a flight of stairs. So yeah, fatigue has been one of the major ones, and people come with things like obviously high blood pressure, diabetes. I've supported a couple of people with cancer. I'm no cancer therapist. I'm not trained in that direction, but I've seen when people have used it and it worked, and I translate the same thing to my friends and family that, you know, close to me, but not outside my scope because it's just not for me. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, the thing is, a lot of times when people enroll for our fertility coaching programs, we ask for 100% commitment, because if the issue is as critical as you deem it, then you must do something critical. You know, something has got to give.
Yeah.
And we have a lot of cases, we have a lot of research bodies, studies that have proven over and over again that certain live foods, like fruits and certain vegetables, are able to even change the DNA, even change, you know, how the blood recruits, even change how the cells build, change sperm cells, change egg qualities. These have been proven over and over again. The only challenge is there are some things that you can only do yourself, right? You have to commit and give it time, because it took your body time to get this destroyed, right?
Yeah.
So you also need to give the body time to heal, because a lot of times people are not willing to. They want, you know, we're in the fasting, quick fixes, fast food, fast this, fast that.
Yeah.
We know we don't know that the body takes, especially when the person is advanced in age, you need time as an important resource to heal. But that's very, very powerful, because, you know, most common, I can tell you, most common, you know, illnesses I've seen them over and over again, taking 360 turn just by the person changing their lifestyle and their diet. So my next question will be coming to, like, what are your most frequently used greens and what benefits do they serve when they are used for, you know, you talk about your protocols, when they are used for a particular period of time? Most frequently, that like make some distinct changes in either your life.
Thank you. Yeah. So obviously, because I live in the UK, I will have to talk about the Brassica family. But then I always, and I really am a big advocate of the vegetables that we have in Africa, West Africa, which I'm familiar with, Nigeria. So I'll talk about what I use because that's where what I can find, and then I'll go to what we have in Africa. So because thankfully I grow my vegetables, I use a lot of broccoli, a lot of kale, cauliflower. Now, when I'm talking about these vegetables, I'm not talking about the broccoli heart or the cauliflower heart. I'm talking about the greens because I'm growing them, have leaves, but they don't sell these leaves. So I use a lot of their leaves. I also use the broccoli heart. I also use the cauliflower heart, but the greens, just plain greens. I don't use spinach. I don't eat spinach at all because obviously people know about oxalic acid. Things like spinach chard, they're high in oxalic acid. Beet greens are high in oxalic acid, but they can also heal. It's only for people because I knew I was sensitive to that long time ago. So there's no point introducing that if I can grow.
This is a very, very important topic. Probably we'll have time in a series to talk about it.
We can do that on a different one because those are triggers. We need to, if you're healing, you have to take away any trigger to heal, and then you reintroduce it if you really want to. But then now going back to Nigeria, West Africa, I think this year I went home and I said, look, we are blessed in the markets, like cheap vegetables. I'm from River State.
Less preservative, less what's it called? Germicide. Because the local farmers can't really afford these poisons, right? So yeah, almost close to organic,
Yes and no, because now they use some toxic things, to be fair, in Nigeria, but they are more fresh, they have more phytonutrients, and the soil we have in Africa is naturally so blessed. So we don't need.
I always advocate that people patronize their local farmers. I can tell you, most of the local farmers can't afford them. They can't afford the poisons. So they go as organic. They have large land, so they can leave the soil to actually fallow and recoup as long as it should. It's all these ones that are now, getting very organized. They can afford tractors. They can afford. These are the ones that are getting, So patronize your local farmers. I always say patronize them. Go to bush markets. A lot of these markets in Nigeria have market days.
The local villages. So
a lot of them have market days on the road. They don't even have shop. They can't afford shop. So they shade it maybe Sundays, Saturdays. Just know the market days. And shop and have no ways to store them and keep them.
And sorry to interrupt. And even if you're scared of pesticides, obviously you can clean with sodium bicarb. You can give it a good soak and wash off the external things. But having greens is better than not having it. So like anywhere you can get it. So for instance, I don't know if you know things like okazi, the Akwa Ibom's called afang leaves. You can add it to your smoothies. You can add oha to your smoothies. You can add uziza, otazi. We have so many greens that are so healing. Scent leaf. But we want to eat broccoli. We want to eat kale. It's not affordable if you're in Nigeria.
Not just that it's not
affordable.
The ones that are coming into Nigeria, they have been sprayed heavily for it to.
They've lost all their nutrients.
So they have to spray them heavily for them to be preserved, to look fresh enough for you to be able to buy it when you get it. So we are so blessed in Africa. We have no
idea. We have no idea.
But because we want to do the Oyibo thing, even the Oyibos, the Native Americans.
Bitter leaf is so good. Bitter leaf as well. But it's high in saponins. It's not something you always have like that, although it's really healing, but it's so good as well. We have so much in Nigeria, Africa.
You mentioned what they are good for, if you could. Then in the audience, please, if you have questions concerning particular recipes, vegetables, please just drop on the audience. But some of the ones you mentioned, Mekas, could you tell us what their benefit, like bitter leaf,
okazi? You see, the thing about our Nigerian vegetables, which I'm still trying to learn, I think we need to take them to the lab and study further.
Speak to the ones you already know. It could be the ones
I know in detail. I just know, basically, now, they're high in chlorophyll, first and foremost. Antioxidants, they're high in phytonutrients. And these are the things that our bodies need to heal. So we don't need to know that, this one has been studied in a lab, it can do this. Let's say, for instance, something like water leaf. Water leaf is really mucilaginous, so it's quite sticky. It's high in oxalic acid, but it helps cleanse the gut, and it actually helps with the repopulation of good gut bacteria. Obviously, not just in the raw form, in the cooked form as well. Because like we say, our ancestors didn't eat these things raw. They didn't have smoothies or salads. So bitter leaf is really, bitter leaf, they've made capsules of bitter leaf now and they're selling it abroad. Whereas it's a weed. It's a weed, it's growing in people's backyard. Oha leaves are so healing. They are very, you know, a lot of things, we eat vegetables. They not only just feed us, they feed our gut bacteria. Absolutely. Now, when you feed the right bacteria, you repopulate them, and that's where your immune system lies. So if we just look at, let's not say, okay, I want to just eat kale because it's green. Just eat at least 50 different vegetables, let's say in a month, and you can eat like 3 or 4 in a day. If you go to the market this week, you buy 5, 6, 7. You go next week, you buy a different one. Try different things. And if you find your body doesn't get along well,
buy everything at the same time. Yeah, and just so that I can bring it home a little bit, when we're talking about gut system, if you're having symptoms like indigestion issues, bloating, when she talks about repopulating your, you know, the good bacteria, she's talking about probably if you have repeated reoccurring, yes, ulcers, repeated candida infection. If she's talking about, I'm bringing it home now. If she's talking about inflammatory issues, you know, inflammatory anti-inflammation, these things are very good for fibroids, PCOS, right? They are very good for balancing your hormones. If she's talking about, what else did you mention? Let me just bring it home so that people can.
There are people that suffer from nausea quite easy.
Yeah.
Even your sleep. See, our gut is so important. Like I really would like to make it as simple, but basically, what happens inside your intestines affects your immune system, because that's where absorption happens. So remember, you eat, your nutrients get absorbed. If the bacteria balance is not good, and a lot of us are guilty of antibiotics, back to back to back to back. I was once like that. I used to bring it from Nigeria for my children. I don't want to hear doctors don't give my babies antibiotics. I will chatter it. They destroy our health. Because they don't only kill the good, they kill the bad. They're indiscriminate.
Absolutely.
So whereas nature, someone is asking which is better, juices or smoothies. Both of them have a place. For people that can't digest vegetables, when they are really sick, juices really start your healing. But smoothies are very good when you're maintaining. You can even combine it because it's also pre-digested. But some people with IBS
on the leaf, or what you're juicing or what you're smoothing, right?
Well,
yeah.
If we talk about that, like fruits are not what we're talking about. Juices, no fruits, it's not fruit juices. It's more like vegetables. I prefer blending my vegetables and having smoothies. That's good if you prefer that, so long as you can digest it and no troubles. I have smoothies every day. So yeah. Okay, so I hope basically what I'm trying to say is eat greens. Don't look for the one that will cure your ulcer or the one that will cure. No, just eat it. Eat it as though your life depends on it. Yeah, because it does.
Yeah. No kidding. So
lol. Delicious.
Awesome. There are a lot of benefits, you know, nature has blessed us with. There's a lot of benefits. I was telling someone, now you need a fertility coach. Your grandparents, they were giving birth in the farm, right? They'll go to farm and that's where they give birth and they come back with the baby. You know, they were still farming with the stomach. There were no complications. They didn't know what is CS. They didn't know what is pregnancy complication. They didn't have to see any doctor. The midwife only comes to deliver the baby. You know why? Because of what they were living in. And sorry to interrupt. I have a friend. Her mom had her at 55. Her mom had her at 55. Now people are getting menopause in their early menopause. 30. I had a client that had symptoms of early menopause at 28.
I agree. 28. And even PMS, PCOS is so rampant amongst young teenagers today because of the high increase in the process.
I always tell people, if you can control what gets in here, you have solved like 90% of your problem. If you can, You
It's
give your body all it needs. And you know, you talk about the antibiotics thing. A lot of us don't know about daily probiotics and all that. These are the reasons why these supplements are now made available, because people are not working with the nature. They are not providing their body with what they need. So they use the antibiotics and they are not, you know, repopulating it. Let's say maybe it was a death situation and you needed an antibiotics. Did you repopulate? What did you do to, you know, repopulate the good ones afterwards?
And even the probiotic community, like, we need to be careful, because probiotics messed me up. I spent good money thinking I was healing my gut, because like I said, I was in Nigeria. I had treatment for malaria for months. So I came back and I thought, okay, get probiotics. Like those capsules, they don't really work. If it's not soil-based, most of the time liquid, it would just be killed by the stomach acids. So I took probiotics for so long, and I probably messed up my gut further. So like our ancestors didn't take probiotics, but they took, you know, things that are high in prebiotics. Simple food, like let's say corn, pap. We have palm wine in Nigeria that is so good. Obviously, it's a lot adulterated now. We have tiger nut prebiotic fiber. We have ogiri, iru. Do you know that iru, the fermented iru, the stinky one, is one of the best probiotics in the world? Like, Americans took it to the lab and they were blown away by the strains that they found in it that was not found in many other. But we just take these things for granted. And some of them don't get killed by cooking. So even if you cook it, like, add it to things like your
temperature.
So
yeah. That's awesome. You know, you talk about
what helps me heal it. Oh, Ichechi, thank you. Yes, juices helped her heal. Yeah, that's my sister. Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing. If you have questions, please join. Tag your friends. We're having a very, very deep, important conversations. You don't get to hear this conversation in your doctor's office. You don't get to hear it in your guest timeout. Trust me, you need to be here. You need to tag your friends. You can't gist them about what you're hearing here. And they will have the opportunity to ask your questions when they miss this broadcast. So please tag your friends and let them join. Thank you so much, Mekas, for joining. You know, I'm going to ask you what tips and hacks in helping people with smooth, you know, sweet tooth, because this is a, you know, issue. There are a lot of people that are used to eating rich foods. They have cravings a lot. They have to always eat sugary items. And now you're telling them you have to start eating veggies, and most of them are not sweet. So what tips and hacks would you share with someone that is interested to start this journey, but the person has a sweet tooth?
Okay, first and foremost, I'll talk about, we were talking about gut bacteria. Now, when you have sweet tooths and cravings, it's actually your gut bacteria that is craving it, because it's what they've been feeding on. They want more. So
say that again. I want them to hear this. Say that again.
So it's your gut
because
bacteria,
cravings, like, it's normal, right?
Craving what you've been feeding them.
It's not normal.
It's not. But so how can we help? How can we come off it? Let me give you an instance. When I was in Nigeria as a teenager, you know, we have our cycles. Whenever I used to say, oh, I fancy chocolate, my period, something sweet. But I came to the UK and I started eating chocolate, and it's like, I need something sweet. And I still have that issue. I still have to work on it. So because I've gotten myself there. Now, first things first, don't bring it into your house. Okay? If you know you will.
I authored a book. I have authored 9 books. They are Amazon. One of them that just came to my mind with this statement you just made. The name of the book is Slim Despite I like the names of my books are very intentional. Slim Despite My Fat Genes. What do I mean by that? I come from a family where we are all big, and I have no reason being slim, like it is by genes. And I have proven, and through that book I share how, you know how people say we are big in our house. This is an excuse. Can't you see my siblings? Like, look at my parents, everybody's big. So it's an excuse to, but I've disrupted that narrative, you know, with my lifestyle, that you can actually turn on or turn off this fat genes, anything like that.
If there's anything.
So what you said that was important that I made in that book is that I don't preach self-discipline. If it's in the fridge, you're gonna eat it. If you buy it and put it in the pantry, you're gonna eat it. If your eyes are seeing that once you open the fridge, the first thing, I even talked about how you can intentionally stack food. So how your eyes operate. Because when you're hungry and you come into the house, If you don't, all you have there is fizzy drink, soda drink, packed baked food. You're not gonna say, "Oh, I want to go and buy banana," right?
We'll come to that in a minute. We'll just say carry on. So
Yeah.
what you said, absolutely true. Like out of sight is out of
Bring
mind.
it into the house. If it's in the house, you're gonna eat it. I don't preach self-discipline, and that's what I said in that book. Because if you buy it in the house, I'm gonna eat it. I don't preach self-discipline.
Let me give you an instance. So my kids, when I started doing this, anyway, long time, I don't really buy fizzy drink. They didn't grow up with that. But obviously things like juices, I thought it was good to give children packed juices, and what Nigerians, we do that now, lunch pack. But I found that obviously they get addicted to the sweet taste, and then I stopped buying it. I remember now, so my children don't drink those things. Even like sometimes we have people bring them and gift us. They can be in my fridge for months. I'm not kidding. Like my son celebrated his birthday in August. We didn't buy drinks because people had been giving us drinks. They were in the house for months. Now my youngest, occasionally he'll say, "Can I have a Coke?" And I'm like, "Which Coke? Do we have Coke?" And he'll be like, "That one." And I'm like, "Eh?" But it's not something we buy.
Yeah.
Anyway, a friend of
like
mine,
treats, right? Red treats.
My friend had her children. They were always having squashes and drinks. So she came to my house. I remember this was 2018, and we had the meal. And they were like, "We need a drink after the meal." I'm like, "The drink is water." So they were like, "Oh, we need something else." I said to her, "We don't have. Check my house. We don't have it." Do you know she took that from me, and till today her children don't have drinks. So once you stop buying it, it stops. Okay, we're adults. I can go to the shop and buy chocolate. Yes, I do that now and again. But I know I won't bring it to my house. If I really crave a bar of chocolate, and I try to do healthy chocolate, but I am human. So there'll be times when I'll be like, "You know what, let me just have a sneaker. I'm out and about. I haven't planned." So I have a bite, but it doesn't come home. The second thing I try to do is plan your snacks.
Absolutely.
It's so important. So I plan, I prep, I have fruits that would cut that sugar rush. So things like fruits are high in sugar, but they're fruits. So the body won't see them like your sweets or your chocolate or your crisp or whatever. So make sure once you plan and you've eaten that one you planned for, you think twice before you go out to buy the one that's unhealthy. So that's the easiest way. Don't bring it home. Don't buy it to bring to your house. If you want to go out one day and have a coffee and have a cake, I used to always buy cupcakes out and about, fine. But you can plan healthier options at home. So I hope that helps something.
You know, something said something very important, which is also something I wrote in that book. Don't just tell people what not to do. Also create better alternatives. Like you mentioned, you didn't just tell them there's no Coke or you can't have Coke. You created a sweeter and healthier, maybe not sweeter, but sweet that cuts the sugar rush, like a healthier alternative. So they don't feel deprived, right? And they feel fuller and they're healthier for it. And you know, this thing about, oh, they're not taking this particular fizzy drink or this brand, then you're not doing well, or you're not a rich parent, or not. It is intentional. It's in the media. These things they're intentional. They're in your face. There's a reason why the stores in the supermarkets and the grocery shops are stacked that way intentionally for you to see particular things. And the good ones, you have to search for
Someone
it.
said, I should tell you what I was saying. I can't remember what I was saying before.
Please just remind us, Kerylicious, what exactly you missed. It's very, very important because these things, you know, we take for granted. You know, you talked about, you know, not bringing it home. Eat out if you have to. Don't stack up your fridge with it. Then creating healthy alternatives also. So it's not enough to say, oh, we're not having this. Create healthy alternatives for them. What do you take? You know, make the food look nice, right? Some of you guys, your children refuse the food because they don't look nice. They don't taste nice either. I can't be giving a 3-year-old or a 4-year-old some that tastes like bitter leaf, right? Try and find recipes and mixes that make it, you know, cut that sugar rush, makes them, and also find ways to. There are a lot of content. We're going to be sharing a lot on this, you know, for kids, for those of you that have aged parents that need help, you know, those of you, your spouses, some are struggling with high BP, and they twin, you know, they are twins. High BP and blood sugar, they go hand in hand.
Together.
Yeah, so they are doing cortisol, high stress levels, fatigue. There's a lot of conversation around this, and I'm so glad we're having this. But we'll be wrapping up soon. I hope you got value. Please post your questions. We're going to be meeting again every other Wednesday. We'll see if we can have it next Wednesday, right? So that we can take, because there are a lot of questions
And
that
people should send questions on areas there is
questions. This helps us to prepare and helps us ensure that we're giving you the right answers, okay? And we're serving you the right content. If there are particular topics or particular subjects, vegetables that you want to learn more about, or a particular ailment, you want to know if there is a vegetable recipe that works for it, please don't hesitate to.
Okay, Felicia, thank you. Something, I'll just digress quickly back to how if you have sweet tooth, don't go shopping when you're hungry. Eat very well before you go shopping. Like
someone 2 days
make
ago.
sure
You buy all the wrong things, you're impatient to read labels, you eat all the wrong stuff, you eat the snacks because they are the quick fix to give you the sugar rush, you need to shop more, and you won't have patience to read labels. When I go to a new grocery store, so I take time reading labels. And I think last week or so on Wednesday, I shared about the EWG app, the health app, where you can actually use to scan to read labels on your food, on your
Alicia is saying, how can she reduce cramps? Cramping during your cycles. What I do personally, and this helps because we women, we can go through, especially when you're stressed, try and prep before that time. And herbal teas help me. Like for me, I use a lot of dandelion and nettles. They're simple, but they're soothing. If you can make pepper soup, if you're African, pepper soup is so good. The herbs are quite soothing. They help to release the pressure, like the contraction, and help your body shed the blood, but not with less cramping. What else? Hot water bottles, simple things. But then sweet food,
sugary items also
doesn't help. Yeah, it doesn't help. So that's why I'm saying make alternative things that you eat that will be comforting. So like for me, pepper soup is comforting, something that will make me feel whole, but then not sweet. And then hot water bottle, as simple as a hot bath, will help you rejuvenate. Magnesium is so good. Now, magnesium, soaking your feet or having a bath in magnesium or Epsom salt, either of these, they're called the salts, magnesium chloride salt. They really help with the cramping as well. So yeah.
Awesome. And also
to manage high BP and sugar levels.
Go to the next question, just to chip in on the question PMS.
So vegetables for fatigue. Just what if you can't, if you don't know where to start from, add what your body is missing. So most times your body is missing the micronutrients. Just add a bit more vegetables to your diet and then gradually take out some things. Some people, they have specific things they need to remove, and those are deeper, in-depth conversations you need to have after doing some, elimination diets. Okay, so you need to, first and foremost, if you're fatigued, for me, gluten affected my fatigue. It made me have...
Exactly. That's what I was about chipping in.
Yeah.
I was about talking about gluten and dairy. You may need to check your food sensitivities. I can tell you over and over again, as a fertility coach, these are the two things that I cut out from the fertile diet. And I see, even before we start talking about supplements and herbs, once the ladies cut out gluten and cut out dairy. What do I mean by gluten? Gluten is basically all your baked food. Anything made from flour, your pancakes, your cakes, your small chops, anything that they use flour to make. Most like your bread, of course, comes with gluten, your baked foods. Then what is dairy? Your cheese, your cow milk, right?
Milk.
Yes.
Milk, powdered milk.
Yes. Milk. I like to call it cow milk because that is what it is, because we have not milk. Yes. So if you can successfully cut this out, I can tell you that PMS would be a thing of the past. I can tell you. It will cut the problem.
And processed meat, sausage, hot dog.
Yes, hot dog.
Indomie is gluten. Pasta is gluten.
Yes. They are all made from flour products. That's just the rule of thumb. Anything that is made from flour products. Somebody was asking about... Please, for magnesium, just so you know, just all supplements though. That's why any supplement that we put our brand to for So Precious they are no nonsense, right? They are.
So you sell them.
No GMOs, no all the no soya, no. Yeah, so you have to be very careful about the supplements, because if you go on Amazon right now and search magnesium, you'll be spot for choice. You'll see a million
You know what?
brands. Yeah.
Personally, I only use magnesium transdermal, so I use the soaps. I don't take tablets because magnesium will make you have diarrhea. Although there are some good ones.
It's very, very important, and it also depends on the ratio of the magnesium as such, also other additives.
Isocyanate and malate and all that. So I
I just wanted to share that in so that, and I always tell people, please don't buy anything from Amazon. Please don't. Buy it from the manufacturers, because I see these things, they change the batch numbers, they change expiring. You know, we share all this when people enroll for our awareness coaching programs, because the wrong supplements can make matters actually worse. So be careful. Don't just take the names of the supplements we are calling here and just go and start searching and say, oh, they said I should go and take magnesium. It was an important point that she mentioned that is actually topical that she uses. So someone is asking, I would like to run through the probiotic list. Would you want to share some light there before?
That has to be in a detailed, like we can either say
so let's take that next time. We'll just note that question.
It's a big complex one, because it's not by telling you a brand.
I was wondering how you're gonna do that. So but we'll take that down so that we'll give you more detailed information on our next podcast. So is there any question that hasn't been addressed? Someone is asking about fatigue. You answered fatigue, managing high BP and blood sugar. You want to take that, Mekas?
So blood pressure is basically the easiest way is to start with exercising, going for even simple things as
exercising. I want to chip in. I always talk about targeted exercising, not just exercising.
Yes.
That particular exercises
I was going to say walks.
Yeah.
Just going for walks, not high intensity.
You can walk the dog, work. Yes, that's the
most greens contain magnesium. Okay. What else? Going for walks, and then now taking away fat, high fatty fried foods. Completely take fried foods off your diet as much as you can. Grill them or air fry if you use an air fryer, and then add more greens. As simple as that. You will find your blood pressure will be normal. It works. It's one of the easiest things to reverse, especially when it's not gone too far. But you have to start by eliminating, and then make sure you have good quality sleep. Some people don't sleep. We are constantly plugged in. We need to sleep. So those are the simple things. See, the blood, when your body has high blood pressure, it's telling you something. So we shouldn't look at any issue in isolation. The body is a whole system. If one system is affected, trust me, other systems are affected.
Absolutely.
So we need to round up soon because
just to add in some lifestyle tips to also help manage, because some of this we handle in our awareness coaching program, one-on-one coaching program, from high BP and blood sugar. I call them the twins. They are interwoven. It's very rare for you to have one and not have the other. If you have one, be sure that the second one is coming. So heavy eating late at night, when at least 1 hour, 1 or 2 hours close to when you're going to bed, the food is not digested. It's going to put a lot of pressure on your system. It's affecting your digestive energy. It's going to affect everything else, like she said. So heavy eating, late eating are also contributory. Easy breakfast. I always ask to make your breakfast easy, because this is the start of your day. Your body has been fasting when it was sleeping. When it wakes up, it doesn't want bacon, it doesn't want bread, it doesn't want hard to digest food. It wants easy to digest. There are fruits and your easy to digest vegetables coming, right?
Another thing, cut down or cut out meats, animal protein.
Yes.
They say diabetes is sugar. It's not. That's one thing. It's a big subject we need to talk about. Yeah. Diabetes is not caused by carbohydrates. It's actually the burden of animal protein.
I think it's a big conversation. We may just have to have an episode on it. It's a big conversation, and there's a lot of needs to be
combine ugu garden egg leaf. Sorry, combine them and enjoy. Yeah, sorry. That the one about the diabetes is a massive topic that people need to change how we think, because I found that the dietitians advise you eat more protein, eat less carbs. People's blood sugar don't change. I actually had gestational diabetes, and I know I have worked that part. So I can categorically tell you, meat can cause diabetes.
It's a big conversation, and we're going to...
What does the cows eat? Felicious, what do cows eat? The meat you're eating, what is their main source of protein? That's what I want to know.
You know, people, we need to ask the right questions, you know, because I found out that when you are looking for something, you see it. When you're not looking for something, it will seem as if it's not available. There are more plant-based protein, there are more than animal-based. But because we don't get to, you know, see these things, you know, like your meat, animal protein gives a lot, it needs a lot of digestive energy to digest. When you eat meat, it takes about 3 to 4 hours to digest.
People don't
when you take
realize that. Actually, plant protein, beans, lentils, even rice has protein.
Yes.
Vegetables has protein.
And you digest, they leave your body in less than
has protein. But we've just put it in our head, my protein. And it's hard. I know, because when I stopped eating meat. I haven't eaten cow's meat since 2020, like beef, goats, anything. I eat fish occasionally, but initially I was like, how will I survive? Look at me, I haven't eaten meat, goats, snail since 2020, and there's still protein in my body. How many people have protein deficiency? We need to really, I'm not saying everyone has to do what I do.
Someone is asking, are you a vegetarian? I'm not vegetarian. I eat meat, but I'm saying I'm not heavy on it. And when I eat it, I know that I have come to understand, build up my digestive health to be sure that I can digest it. I know how long it takes to digest. So I don't go eating it when I know that I'm going to bed in 2 hours.
No, you
right?
don't,
And
when I do
also, I take particular digestive supports, cause of pineapple. I have, you know, Megtilzil. I have a couple of things that I use to support digestion. So I'm not a vegetarian, but I understand my digestive system, and I know that I can give it support when I need help. That's what we're preaching here. We're not preaching.
So important, because our ancestors did not eat 3-4 pieces of meat in a bowl, in a plate.
You eat as in the
eat the amount of meat we're eating today, and the meat we are eating is not just meat,
it's
antibiotics and growth hormones.
Moderation.
So our ancestors, go back to how they ate meat. They ate meat. Okay, Christmas Day we ate good chicken. Once in a while we have dry meat.
I always tell people in our fertility coaching program, a lot of people buy frozen food, frozen chicken, frozen turkey that are imported into Nigeria, and or any other country. Most of them are imported. So the challenge is most of those chicken or turkey that are coming frozen, they died they were killed like one year ago. So the question is, what kind of embalming chemicals did they put on those chicken for it to still look fresh to you? For me, asu is even better. Because at least you saw the goats being, but now most of the urban farmers are using antibiotics and other growth hormones to make it chicken looking almost like a turkey. It's not normal. It's growth hormones. And these things, you can't boil them out. You can't cook them with temperature.
Young boys are having boobs. Young children are having boobs. The foods we're eating is affecting
I had a client that the daughter had her first 8.
Younger.
Do you understand? So anyway, this is a very
we have to talk about that on a different day. Like, we need to go into the animal protein. We're not saying don't eat it. We need to review how much we're eating and why do we think we need that
moderation.
We need to review that. But I'm really, I have to run soon as well. So any more questions?
Please just drop the questions. It will be in the comments, and we're going to help us build context and on the subsequent conversations.
And thank you for those that have stayed all this while. We really appreciate you staying along with us. We hope you're finding value here. We really, really want to make more people know that we can heal ourselves. We have what it takes.
Absolutely.
That's the whole point of this life, is to create that awareness.
Absolutely. And that's why we're sharing our personal stories. So please tag your friends, tag your community to these conversations. Tag your questions. We'll be in the comment section also to have conversations, to answer any question that we can answer, because there's just so much we can take within less than 1 hour. And we're at the top of the hour is above 1 hour. And we need to go now. Thank you so much, Mekas, for joining. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for sharing so deeply. And I would like to know from our audience, what did you learn today that you did not know
someone
before?
is asking about plant-based protein foods. I'll just give you a few lists. So lentils, beans, black beans, moi moi, you know, depending on where you are, the sort of
Yes,
you
several
have available. Peas. So peas, you know, green peas.
beans.
Yeah, peas are really high in protein. Let me see, I made a list. Your vegetables, your greens, they have protein. Oh, they do. They actually can supply you with good quality protein.
You're making your vegetable, don't overcook it. The vegetable came to you green. By the time you finish cooking and adding all your MSG Maggi, it turns black.
No, we
all the ingredients are finished. You say you're eating
for our bodies to use them. So, and also things that are high in plant protein. If you really can't digest, let's say, beans, try and cook it with seaweed, soak it overnight, use a pressure cooker if you have one. Those things help your body, because people that have gut issues can't digest plant protein, and they say, oh, plant protein is bad for you, stop eating beans, it's making you sick. It's because our body is already sick.
Is better than using account, right?
Oh my God.
Someone asking, how do I get my beans to be done?
Yes.
Using account. So please, guys.
So there are a lot of plant protein sources, and we need to embrace them, because those are the things that will help our bodies heal. So beans in any way, vegetables are high in protein. Cows, like I said, our cows are goats. Their main source of protein is grass. So we need to go back to the source where our food comes from before we think that protein only comes from animals. It's not that I don't want you. I give my children meat, I give them eggs, but not every time. Like we eat eggs maybe once or twice a week at the most. That's when the children eat eggs, and they're growing. They're strong.
They are pastured eggs. I'm sure you're not taking
it has to be organic, as much as we can afford. We try to aim for it.
We're going to, I think in one of the sessions we might bring you into our kitchen. We might introduce some of these foods to you.
Yes.
Yeah, that would be nice. We'll have to have one where we can bring you to our kitchen, show you how introduce some of these foods, you know, and where you can get them if you're in the UK or wherever, because some of our audience are also in the US. Which shops, which shops you can get them.
I actually have a reel coming up tomorrow where I'm sort of restocking my whole foods. So you see where I buy the kind of whole foods I use. So that's something you guys can look up for tomorrow. Yeah. Anyway, thank you everyone, and have a lovely rest of the day. Thank you so much, Nika.
Thank you for joining. Thank you everyone for being here. Tag your friends and let's have your questions on the comment section.
Thank you.
Bye bye everyone.
Bye bye. Bye.